All right, welcome everybody to this session, Making the Most of Chromebooks. To get the slideshow for this session, you can use the short link that we see at the bottom of the screen here, bit.ly/Chromebooks56, Chromebooks all lowercase and then 56. That'll get you the whole slideshow for today. If you're watching this recording, you don't have to worry about that sign in here button, so you can just ignore that. So welcome everybody. My name's Dan. I'm a technology integration specialist at Neonet. Here's my email on slide number 2, dneeson@neonet.org. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions after today's session. You can also find a bunch more good stuff at training.neonet.org. This is where you find all of our PD on demand and our training schedule of all our live trainings that we have coming up. All right, I'll skip past this Zoom stuff since we're just doing a recording today. So here's our to-do list for today. Here's our agenda. So we'll start by getting familiar with Chromebooks, getting the very basics out of the way. Then we'll start talking about some of the best ways to use a Chromebook in your teaching. And to do that, we'll start with the Chromebook App Hub. This is a really great place where you can find a ton of technology tools that can be used on a Chromebook, and we'll explore that in a little bit. We'll take a quick peek at Pear Deck. We'll do some video lessons with Edpuzzle. We'll talk about Google Applied Digital Skills. And then we'll wrap it up by talking briefly about project-based learning on Chromebooks. Of course, everything we talk about today is focused specifically on Chromebooks, and everything that we talk about will be something you can use right away on a Chromebook. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with getting familiar with Chromebooks. We'll get the basics out of the way, some of the buttons, the keyboard, that kind of stuff. So to get started here, what is a Chromebook? So Chromebooks are laptops that run Google's Chrome OS instead of the usual Windows or Mac OS that you might be used to. Chrome OS is simply an extension of the Chrome browser. So in short, it's basically a laptop that only runs the Google Chrome browser. There's a link here on slide number 8 if you want to read more about that. But essentially, it's just a netbook that just purely runs the Chrome browser. Another way to think about it is it's almost like like an Android smartphone with a keyboard attached to it. That's kind of another way to think about it. For any help that you need with your Chromebook, for any of that stuff, you can go to support.google.com/Chromebook. And on this page, you'll see this little search bar, and there's a bunch of articles and all this sort of helpful stuff. So you can really just search for whatever you like. It has a bunch of like frequently asked questions, a bunch of information that you can possibly need. You can find all that stuff on here. So basically just search for whatever you like, and it'll take you over to a help article for all that good stuff. All right, so now let's actually talk about some basic navigation in Chrome. I'm going to switch over to using a Chromebook now. So I'm going to stop sharing on this screen. I'm going to go share on, I have a Chromebook set up next to me here. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and work our way around Google, around a Chromebook a little bit here, kind of hit some of the basics. All right, so let me minimize out of the window for now here. And so, of course, here's our desktop of our Chromebook. One thing that you'll notice right away is there's no apps or icons or anything like sitting on the actual background of a Chromebook. There, you can't put anything on here. It's always going to be blank. You can change the wallpaper, but all your apps, all your programs are going to be down in the app drawer at the bottom. We'll swing back around to the app drawer and shelf in just a little bit. But to get started with this, I'm going to go down to the bottom right-hand corner here, and we'll hit some of these kind of navigation buttons down here. So where the time is, we can just click on top of the time. That whole little section down here, like this little 3, if you're able to see it down in the bottom right corner, that shows you how many notifications you have. That'll give you any sort of notifications if you just downloaded something or if there's an update or things like that. The next button over, of course, is showing your Wi-Fi signal, and the next button after that is your battery, and then your time. If you can click on any one of those symbols, and it'll take you into this little menu here. Now, let's talk about powering on and off real quick here. So of course, to power off, we would just simply click on the power button here. The nice thing about Chromebooks is they are designed to be turned on and off really, really quickly. Usually the time to power down and power back up is about 10 seconds each way. So it's a very, very quick process. It's designed to be like that. Chromebooks don't have a lot of stuff going on because they pretty much just run the web browser, and that's pretty much it. So that's a nice thing. You can turn them on or off whenever you like, and that will save you some battery too. So if you are, running between classes, or students are running between classes, they can just turn off the Chromebook in between those classes, those 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long it is between the times that they actually need the Chromebook to be on. They can turn it off during that time and save themselves a lot of battery. And depending on the Chromebook, they may be able to last the whole school day without having to charge, as long as they charged it the night before. Other things here, you can also lock the Chromebook. I'm not going to click it because I'll mess up Zoom here. But you can also lock it, which will take you back to the lock screen. And of course, you can go into settings, where you can see a whole bunch of different settings. We'll kind of peek back at that in just a little bit as well. Now, when you are signing into a Chromebook, you do have to sign in with a Google profile. And of course, when you sign into a profile, it's bringing everything associated with that profile over. So when you create a Google profile, whether you're using a personal one or you're using the one like your school made for you, it's going to bring over all the things that you saved to that profile. It'll bring over all of your bookmarks and all of your passwords. And if you have like a theme on your browser, it'll bring that stuff over. If you sign into a Chromebook and you have specific apps installed, and you sign out of that Chromebook and go into a physical another Chromebook and sign in, you'll have those apps on the other Chromebook as well. All your stuff follows you from device to device. It doesn't matter what device you're on, as long as you're signed in with the same account. All right. Next thing here is brightness. So of course, most Chromebooks have a button on the top row. It looks like a little gear. There's like a bigger one and a smaller one that will turn up and down your brightness. Of course, you won't be able to tell the difference in Zoom, but believe me, it's doing it. You can see the little slider move. Same thing goes for volume. You can click and drag on the slider to change your volume if you'd like. And of course, you're able to push the buttons. They just have a microphone button on the top row of the keyboard. All right, a couple other things here. Selecting network, of course, that's always important. So you want to make sure you are on the correct Wi-Fi network. So you can see I'm on this internet. I can click on the little drop down, and it'll let you pick your Wi-Fi network. Pretty straightforward. You can also turn on night light. I believe this one is, depending on which manufacturer you have. I think the vast majority of Chromebooks have this feature though. This one will let you turn on or off night light. Again, you're not going to see much of a difference through the recording, but what you will see is in person, it's like a blue light filter, so it's less harsh on your eyes. So it's a little bit easier to look at a screen for longer, so it's not so glaringly bright and blue. Okay. Other things here, you can also adjust your wallpaper. You can right-click anywhere on our desktop here. Side note, to right-click when you're just using the trackpad on a Chromebook, you can either hold down the Alt key and then do a normal click, or you can just do 2 fingers down at the same time, and that will give you a right click. But then we can click on Set Wallpaper, and there's a good number of pre-made wallpapers that are in here. So if I want to do this one here, of course I can change them up to whatever I like. And if you have your own wallpapers that you like to use, you can pull them in for yourself as well. Pretty easy stuff there. Next thing here is our app drawer and app shelf. So of course, at the bottom of the screen, we have our app shelf. Our shelf is just our little preview of all the apps that we use. Same idea as the taskbar in Windows. And of course, I have these apps that are kind of just sitting here, not doing anything. And I also have my Zoom app. You can kind of see, if you look really closely, there's a couple little lines next to Zoom letting me know it's open. And of course, if I click on it, it'll open back up my Zoom pages, and it'll have different windows depending on if you have multiple pages open. If you'd like, you can decide remove these apps from the shelf if you like. You can just drag them around to reorder them. So if I want to have my my Google Docs one up there first, or if I don't want it there at all, I can right click on top of it and do unpin. If I want to find more apps, I can click on this little circle way in the bottom left. Then I'll scroll down. The way to scroll, by the way, we'll talk about this in a picture in a little bit, but you take two fingers and then you slide gently. You don't have to actually click down, you just slide two fingers. Or if you have a mouse attached to you, of course, you can scroll in the traditional way. And then here's our app drawer. So this shows all of our apps in our Chromebook here. And of course, we can just kind of scroll through and look through all of our apps that we have. Kind of the same idea as the apps on your phone, kind of think of it that way. And of course, any app that we like or that we use often. So maybe if I have my calculator, maybe I'll right click on top of that one and I'll do pin to shelf. So it's right there for me whenever I'd like. And of course, it'll be there for me whenever I need. Pretty easy stuff. Now you can also, under our app drawer, there's also this little search bar here. Now, the cool thing about this one, when you do a search, it's not only searching Google in general, like a normal Google search, it's also going to search for any of the apps that you have sitting in your app drawer. So if, for example, I want to search for maybe Gmail, we can see, oh, here's my Gmail app that I can go and open up, or here's all the other normal, Google searches that we would normally do. All right, so you have both those options from that little search bar. All right, pretty easy stuff. All right, I'm going to flip back to the slideshow again here. Just give me a second here. I'll flip back to here. All right, and so now let's talk about some of the keyboard things. So if you aren't super used to using a Chromebook for yourself, maybe you just have them just for your students or something like that, and then you just start using one for some reason, you may notice that the keyboard's different, and namely there's like a lot less buttons happening, right? And some buttons are missing or they're not where you would expect them to be. So some things on the Chromebook's keyboard is different. So for a full list here on slide number 10, there's a full list of helpful tips for your Chromebook keyboard. So this page goes through everything and tells you what all those little symbols are. Pretty much on every type of Chromebook, they'll have pretty much the same symbols here that tell you what all these different things do. Okay, most Chromebooks have most of the same buttons. Depending on the manufacturer, they might be slightly different, but this is most of the same stuff. Here's the big ones though. So you have a forward and backward button, so that goes to the previous page or the next page. Those also work as the F buttons, those function buttons. So if you're ever in a situation where it tells you to push like F4 or something, and you're on a Chromebook, you're like, well, there is no F4. Well, it would be the same button as 4 over. So it would be in this case, it would be the make your page take up the full screen button. Okay, but you can see, so there's lots of different buttons on here. One of the big ones I'll show real quick is your screenshot. So that's probably one of the most useful things to have. So essentially what you'll do is you'll take this F5 button, this one that has like the little square and like 2 lines next to it. When you hold down the the control key rather, the control key, and press that button, it'll take a full screen screenshot. If you do the control button and shift and this button here, the one with the 2 squares and the 2 little lines, that will let you select where to take a screenshot. So you can either do a full screen screenshot or just pick out a little section that you need. Okay. All right, and like I mentioned earlier, here is the little trackpad tricks here. So of course you can just simply plug in a mouse and it'll work right away for you. But if you don't have access to one, you can scroll up and down, just like I said. Take 2 fingers and you scroll up and down, not actually clicking down, just place them on and then you scroll up or down. To right click, take 2 fingers and tap at the same time, or again, you hold the Alt key and then click regularly just with 1 finger. All right, so now let's talk about storage. So there's an app on the Chromebook called Files. You'll find it along with all your other apps. And the Files app, of course, contains all of your files. And it shows all of the things that are on the Chromebook's physical hard drive, and it shows all the stuff in your Google Drive. Remember earlier that I said when you're signing into a Chromebook, you're using your Google account and everything that comes with it. So your Google Drive, you'll have access to all that stuff from that Files app. You could also easily just open up the Chrome browser and go into your Google Drive and get to all your stuff from there as well. You can absolutely do that too. It's just two different ways to get to the same place. Um, and you can manage your Google Drive from the Files app as well. So you can move files, you can move files around, make folders. In fact, let me show you what this would look like here. Let me go ahead and change over. And here we go. So I'll just show you guys this real quick here. So back on the Chromebook here. So of course, let's go and find the Files app. Here it is. I'll actually pin it to my shelf there, just so it's there for me to get to later if I need. And like I said, this has all of the stuff that you have installed or downloaded on your on this individual Chromebook's hard drive, and all the stuff that you have in your Google Drive. Okay, so all this stuff is going to be here. If you have any items that you have saved on your hard drive, they'll show up here. Now, the cool thing that you can also do, I'm going to skip ahead just for a second here. You can also change the default save location for the files that you are for the files that you are going to download. Okay, so the thing is, Chromebooks don't have very much space in them by design. Their hard drives are pretty small, and so you're not going to want to save a bunch of stuff on them. Generally, all the stuff that you save and download from when you're on a Chromebook, just put them into your Google Drive. Your school accounts are going to have unlimited storage anyway, so you can just put all that stuff in there, and there's no risk of losing anything. Now, to change your save location, this is how we're going to do it. So we just have to open up the Chrome browser. We're going to go up to the little three dots way up in the top right corner, and we're going to go all the way down to Settings. Then over on the left-hand side, we go under Advanced, and then we find Downloads. And this very first button up here is where you can change your default save location. You can see mine's already set for my location set to be my drive in Google Drive. Depending on your school, you may have it where you're not able to change your default save location. It kind of depends. It depends if your administrator has that changed for you or not. But that's how you can change that default save location, so you save space on the Chromebook and you don't accidentally lose out on anything. Okay. So for example, I'm going to take a screenshot here. Let's take a little screenshot. I did Control Shift in that little switch screens button. I'll take a little screenshot. We can see down on the bottom right hand side, it's been saved. I'll click on Show in Folder and notice the screenshot that I took, even though I took it on this specific Chromebook, notice it's here. It's already put into my Google Drive for me. So even if I go to my regular Google Drive, so I'll head over here, I'll go into my Drive, and we're going to find, hey, there's my screenshot that I just did. All right, so all that stuff is still going to be there for you. And the cool thing about putting it right into your Google Drive, of course, is even if you're not on the exact same Chromebook, it's going to be saved to your drive, so you can get to it from any device that you like. All right. Another thing you can also do, you can also view or edit a Microsoft Office file stored in your Google Drive. You'll simply be able to open it just like anything. You just double click on it and it'll open for you right away. So for example here, I'm going to go ahead and let's pull in an example here. I'm going to have to switch over here. The process is going to be the same regardless if you are on a Chromebook or if you're just on your regular PC or a Mac. It doesn't really matter because the whole concept is still the same. you can simply store any sort of file that you like in your Google Drive. So whether you're storing it from your Google Drive, even if you're on a Chromebook, if you're on your PC, if you're on a MacBook, whatever it is, you can store pretty much any sort of file in your Google Drive. But especially Microsoft Office files, meaning your PowerPoints, your Excel sheets, your Word documents. You can just double click to open them, and they'll open right away in the browser, even though it's a Microsoft Office file. Okay, so you can still use those things. Fair warning, though, some things may get, like some of the formatting might get messed up on certain files, depending on what kind of funky stuff they have going on. Word and PowerPoint and Excel have more features than their Google counterparts do, but you'll still be able to open them. You'll still be able to edit them, and the vast majority of the stuff will come through okay. It's only when you have a lot of crazy formatting going on, like a watermark or like a page border, or things like that. That's when stuff will kind of get a little funky. And in that case, you can just make a copy of the original and do whatever edits you need. Okay. All right. Again, if you needed the directions again for how to change your default save location, that information is on slide number 14 there for you. So if you need a reminder of that. Okay. All right, so let's change gears a little bit here. We kind of covered our basics on a Chromebook. So kind of comfortable with using them. They're very simple to use. They're pretty easy to use. If you can make your way around a Windows computer or a Mac, you're going to be totally fine on a Chromebook. So let's actually get into talking about tools that we can use on a Chromebook that actually are going to help with actually teaching. So a really good place to go to start finding these tools is a place called Chromebook App Hub. So Chromebook App Hub is a place to find tools for teaching. And it's really awesome. Here on slide number 16, there's a link to it. Let's go ahead and jump in there and take a look. All right. So the Chromebook App Hub, so it's just chromebookapp.hub.withgoogle.com. And on here, it just literally just has hundreds of different apps that you can use on a Chromebook. Some of these apps will have you actually download like the actual app to the Chromebook. The majority of them, honestly, are actually just websites. So you can just bookmark them as you would bookmark any other normal website. But if we scroll through this page a little bit, we'll kind of start to see some of the featured ones, and then we'll start to see all these like filters that we can do, and we can just really just start exploring. So if we want to start using the filters here, so maybe if I want to use app category, and maybe I want to do something for like brainstorming and mind mapping. All right, so if I want to make something for myself that I can use in my teaching, if I need to make some sort of graphic organizer to make stuff easier for students to visualize, I can use this for myself. Or if I'm actually having students make their own graphic organizer, or brainstorm or mind map, I can send them this tool. It's a good idea to kind of run through these things a little bit, get familiar with them just a little bit. You don't have to be an expert in all these things, but just an idea to see what students can expect and see if it's going to work for the purpose of the lesson that you're trying to do. But from here, we can just kind of start scrolling through, and we see all the different ones that we have in here. So we have all these things in here, and I'll just kind of pick one at random here. Let's do drop. I actually have never used this tool before. We're just going to scroll in here and take a look at what we find here. And so here's drop for school. And let's scroll down a little bit and we can read our overview. So Drop for School is an all-in-one K-12 platform for creation, collaboration, content, and workflow management. It includes rich design tools, swipe to share collaboration, and unlimited cloud storage. Drop's accessibility tools, text-to-speech, voice recording, and ELL supports help teachers reach students wherever they are. Drop's ELL tool, a bank of bilingual scaffolding tools to help support English learners, was created in partnership with the Los Angeles County Office of Education and the Valverde Unified School District. The Drop ELL tool can be used to support all learners of any skill level and in any subjects. The free Drop Resource Marketplace provides teachers with an easy-to-access repository of standards-aligned educational resources to download and share. I always like when I see free. That's always a good thing too. Some things you find in here are only going to be a paid tool where you have to pay to actually use it. A lot of tools out there have like a freemium model, meaning there's either a free trial or a free version that kind of gets your foot in the door, and then you have to pay for extra features, and some are completely free. So you gotta just have to check them out, and you can see some resources to get you started here. So there's some videos and some pictures and things like that. So let's take a look at some of these things here. So this one looks like it's some sort of like interactive picture here. So this looks very interesting. So it makes me think of ThingLink, if anybody's heard of that before. It's kind of the same idea, maybe. And so you can see all this information here, and you can expand all this stuff down here at the bottom. And you can see what the purchase options are and see what all this information looks like. So there's a free version. It looks like, so the Drop Marketplace is a website where teachers can borrow, search, and blah, blah, blah. So that has some good stuff in here. And obviously this is just one tool that we just kind of arbitrarily came across here on the Chromebook App Hub. And of course you can search through here and see if this stuff kind of floats your boat. Eventually you'll be able to find their visit website button. You can also just click on the icon at the top for this tool, and it'll take you into the actual app. And then you can just basically start exploring and see if this thing kind of fits with what you're trying to do. So let's jump in here just real quick, take a little peek, and then we'll go look for a different type of tool. And I'll go ahead and do a Google sign up here. And we'll get all signed in. All right, school name. I'll have to add it, I guess, here. There we go. Yep. And some of these things make you put in all your school information here. All right. All right, I skipped ahead a little bit. It required me to create an account and verify my email. But anyway, so then you can come in here, and then of course you can just start playing around. Of course, a lot of these things will give you like a free trial for 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is. Of course, I don't know the details of this particular tool here, but of course you can explore these things, and you can find a ton of stuff just through the Chromebook App Hub. Let's go back here and just find one more, just as an example here. So I'll scroll down again, and we'll do another category here. How about we do about geography? That sounds good. See what kind of stuff we can find with geography. Of course, there's a ton of different options in here for the category of app or age range, integrations or optimizations, meaning does it communicate with another app? Things like, does it work well with G Suite if you're a big G Suite school? Does it talk with Google Classroom? That sort of thing. Purchasing options, you can see that sort of stuff in there. You can see what other languages it's available in. You can also see their data policy as well. Hang on, let me minimize that there. And then their data policy, you can see if it's a COPPA, GDPR, or SDPC. All right, and then of course you can just scroll through here and just find more. So if you kind of just jump into a tool here, and we can just kind of look through and see what we can find. So what I encourage you to do, since this is just a recorded video, of course, is pause the video at this point, go to the Chromebook App Hub, and go explore a little bit. Take 10-15 minutes and just go see what you can find. You don't have to go take a super deep dive into anything, but something to kind of explore and see what kind of cool stuff that you can come across, especially for free stuff. You can always find a pretty good amount of free stuff. All right, so I encourage you to do that. Take 10 or 15 minutes to do that. I'll go ahead and continue, of course, but pause it now, and then we'll come back together here. All right, everybody. So I'll kind of assume that everybody came back after pausing and exploring the Chromebook App Hub. So now we'll change gears a little bit and go into Pear Deck. So this is one of several tools that kind of accomplishes the goal of really getting more student engagement going when you're doing your traditional kind of direct instruction. So of course, a lot of the time direct instruction is kind of seen as the boring stuff. That's all your lectures and things. So of course, if you haven't used Pear Deck before, it's a really cool tool to make those direct instruction activities a lot more engaging, where students are actually going to be doing more stuff other than just staring at a slideshow. All right, so I have a quick little example here. So I'm going to jump over into launching this real quick, and you'll actually see how to launch it, how to launch a Pear Deck activity. And you'll notice, even though it's a Pear Deck activity, I'm running into my Google Drive first. The reason is Pear Deck works directly with Google Slides, and this lets you run a interactive slideshow right from Google Slides, which is really cool. All right, so then you just open up your slideshow. We'll talk about how to actually make these things, but might as well talk about how to launch them since I'm doing this here. And it's best to have the Pear Deck add-on for Google Slides. You just get it like you do any of your other add-ons. And to launch it, we're going to go to the present button, but not our traditional present button. We're not going to this regular white one at the top. We have to open up this little Pear Deck sidebar that we get by getting the add-on. And then we click on this green start lesson button. That's the one we're looking for. And so essentially what we do is we go ahead and start this lesson. We can decide between student paced or instructor paced. Student paced lets students go freely from slide to slide, from activity to activity, and complete it at their own pace. It's really good for asynchronous learning, good for homework, good for independent work, group work. Then, of course, instructor paced is where the teacher controls what slide students are doing. Each slide may just be a regular content slide where it's just some notes or things like that. Sometimes it's an actual activity where students have to do something. And when it's instructor paced, everybody's going to be on the same thing at the same time. That's your synchronous activities. All right, for this case, let's go ahead and do instructor paced. And it's going to go ahead and launch this here. It'll load up for just a second here. As a good matter of practice, if you end up doing this with your class, get this stuff loaded and prepared ahead of time as early as you can, because you may waste a good few minutes if you're kind of crunched for time. So you definitely want to get this loaded up beforehand, before kids come in the room or come in the Zoom room or the Google Meet if you're doing remote or hybrid. And so then we go ahead and load up here. So again, everything that you're seeing here is the teacher's perspective. And I think this pop-up is just trying to get me to go to the paid version of Pear Deck. And paid, again, Pear Deck is a freemium tool, meaning it does have a free version and a paid version. Everything I show will be in the free version. The paid version gives you a little bit more stuff. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But now, so this is what students will do when they come into Pear Deck. So what we're seeing on screen is the teacher's perspective, and this is exactly what you'll have them do. You'll simply tell them, go to joinpd.com on their own computers and then put in this code that we see. In this case, it's RMLSGV, and students will be able to come into the session and then participate in the session. They can still join late too if they need to. You'll see this little code up here in the top right. You can expand that so students can join in. I'll go ahead and have a student account here join us. So I'm going to split my screen here. So on the left-hand side, we have our teacher's perspective. On the right-hand side, we're going to have our student's perspective. So on the student's perspective, on the right-hand side, I'm going to go to joinpd.com, and we're going to put in our enter code here. So it is RMLSGV. And this will load me in. Notice it does require students to sign in during the session. It's students' responses that they do to the activities are going to be anonymous. Later on, the teacher will be able to look at all of the students' responses and see their names and everything. During the session, students won't be able to tell who is saying what, though. All right, and we'll go ahead and jump into our session here. So again, left-hand side is the teacher's perspective, right-hand side is the student's perspective. As we can see on the left side, we have one student connected, and that's all we're going to have for this demo here, but we'll go ahead and start class. Now, one thing you'll notice here is because I chose instructor paste mode or teacher paste mode, whatever slide I go to as the teacher, the same slide will be shown on the student's perspective, and they cannot change. They can pretty much the only thing they can do is make the slide full screen. That's pretty much the only thing that they can do. All right. And once we go from slide to slide, it's automatically going to take them along the way. All right, so let's talk about Pear Deck a little bit here. So what is Pear Deck? So like I said, Pear Deck is a Google Slides add-on that allows you to easily turn your slideshows into an interactive learning tool. You will be able to sprinkle in all sorts of activities into your slideshows in order to formatively or summatively assess your students. You can even add the interactivity to slideshows you've already made. So if you have an old PowerPoint or slideshow that you use every year, you don't have to completely get rid of it or anything. You can just sprinkle in the tools that you actually, the items that you want to drop in to make it more interactive. How do I get it? Pear Deck is a Google Slides add-on. So you go to the add-ons menu in Google Slides. So when you have your, your Google Slide open, you simply go into a Google Slide. Here, I'll just open up a new one real quick here. Let me open up a new one here. And once this loads for me, let me make this full screen so it's a little bit easier to see. And what we'll do is we'll go under the add-ons button. Go away thing, there we go. Add-ons button. And we'll go and find get add-ons. And then you'll just find Pear Deck in here. You can search for it. It's probably going to be one of the first things that you find, honestly. It's massively popular. So it'll be one of the first things that you find in this menu here that's going to come up. And then you just simply install it. So there's Pear Deck. Click on it, install it, and it'll be there. And again, it'll follow you between your devices as well. So it does not matter what device you're on, as long as you're logged into the same account. You can be on one computer, it can be on a different computer. It doesn't matter as long as you're logged in with the same account. Okay. Like I said, there's a free version and a paid version. For our purposes, we'll just focus just on the free version. Once installed, Pear Deck, you can open up Pear Deck anytime, opening up that add-ons menu. And then to launch Pear Deck in class, like we said, you go up to the present button that's in the Pear Deck menu, that green button, not our regular present button that we normally click. All right, and so here's our first example of a interactive slide. So this one's just kind of a social emotional check. So how was your day today? And on the right-hand side, of course, we see our students' perspective, and they have this little blue dot, and they just drag it to however they're feeling today. So they're feeling pretty good. How about pretty good? And the cool thing is, as the teacher, we can see all of our students' responses by coming down this little button down here. So this little canvas button there, and we can see all of our students' responses and how they have been talking with each other. Now, you won't from this screen be able to tell who is saying what, so you'll have to look at that stuff later on. We'll cover that in just a little bit, but you'll be able to tell in the moment how people are responding. All right. And the cool thing is you can just simply keep going from there. And again, every time you change a slide, each student is going to see the slide that you want, because we are in teacher paste mode. Here's a different type of question. Let me go to full screen so it's easier to see here. This is a different type of question. This is a multiple choice question that we dropped into our slide. So which letter would you use to make the make the caption match the picture. So I would add the letter C to make a cat. Okay. And then of course, on the teacher's perspective, I can click on this little button again and see how many people have been responding in that way. And then again, we can just keep on going. And again, because I'm in teacher pace mode, every slide I go to, students will follow me. And so this is a different type of slide. This is a drawing slide where students can draw whatever they'd like over any sort of picture. So of course, this activity has students circle all of the animals that you find living in water. Okay, so find that one, and that one. There we go. And again, on the teacher's perspective, I can see what students are saying. All right. One of the cool things that you can also do is, as a teacher, you can click and hold on this little lock button here, and then you can give them a timer. And if you say you have 30 seconds to answer, notice in the top right corner of the student's perspective, you'll see the timer countdown, and I won't touch anything for 20 seconds here. And once the timer's up, it locks the student's screen so they can no longer make any changes. So if you give them a time limit, the time limit actually, it's actually enforced. So students won't be able to do anything after the time limit goes up. There it is. And now see on the right-hand side, your teacher has locked responses for this slide. And no matter how much I try to click and stuff, the student can't make any more changes, even if they'd like. As the teacher, I can change that if I like by clicking on this little lock button down there. I can let them continue or set another timer by holding down on that lock button if I'd like. All right. And then we pretty much just go through our slideshow just like that. All right. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go super deep into Pear Deck here, but that's pretty much the big stuff to know about starting a slide and running it in class. Once it's over, we'll go ahead and end this session. All the information that we collect from a Pear Deck session, all of that stuff is going to be saved. I think I have a slide on it. There we go. All of those results that you are looking for, all that stuff is going to be saved on Pear Deck's website. So you just go to peardeck.com, sign in with the same account that you're using the add-on for, and then you go into the little three dots, and then you can find export to spreadsheet and get all that information in a spreadsheet. Now, one thing just to note real quick, in the free version of Pear Deck, you're only going to see multiple choice or the short answer questions as actual data. Other things, you're just going to see like coordinates of where they dropped those little dots, like on that the smiley face activity or the map or the circling thing where they're circling different animals. You're not going to see hard data for that one in the free version. In the paid version, you can see all that information a little bit better. So just a heads up about that. Okay, so this is what you can expect to see once you go into Pear Deck's website. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go too crazy into detail on that point, but again, Pear Deck is really, really useful for that part. Now, one thing I'll just kind of show real quick here is how to create your different activities. So of course, you can start with your regular slideshows, and you can sprinkle in as many activities as you'd like. Now, so of course, I had this slideshow made here, and I kind of added in these different activities. And let's just take this one as an example, this little cat activity here. And let's just use this one as, we'll duplicate it just as an example. So to get started here, what we want to do is we'll want to have this little sidebar open like we had before, but instead of clicking on the start lesson button, we'll actually go in and create an activity. You can either use the template library up at the top here, and then you can go into these different categories. There's a bunch of different categories in here, and they have a bunch of example questions and stuff, which is great. If you want to do a blank one, you have in the free version, you have 4 choices. You can make a text question, a multiple choice, a number, it's like a number line, or you can actually embed a website. For this one, what I did was I did a multiple choice. So this question is asking which letter would you add to the word to make it match the picture. So what I did is I did a multiple choice question. So I give that one a click. And what it's going to do is going to bring up a a little menu here where you can put in your possible responses. Now, you're going to actually ask the question on the slide itself. Okay, so let me actually make a new slide here. I'll just make a blank slide. And I'll do kind of the same idea here. So I'll do a multiple choice question here. We'll put in our choices. So maybe I'll say, maybe I'll do a picture of like a dog and blank out the D. So I would add the letter A. Sure. Okay. And the letter D. Okay. So we're going to update that slide here. And notice it drops this little like bar down here at the bottom. And that just lets you know that there is a interactive element to this slide. So do not change this. So all your interactive slides are going to have this little bar guide down at the bottom. But the rest of the slide, you can add whatever you want to it. Okay. So if I want to, kind of have the same thing as this like cat thing that I had here, we can put in a picture of a dog if we want. So we'll go ahead and just put in a picture of a dog. And we just add the stuff just like we normally do. Okay, and we'll just kind of do the same idea that we did before. And I did a little call out for that shape for that other one. So I'll do a little call out shape. Okay, make it bold. All right, and then we have something like that. Okay, and that's pretty much what there is to it. There's lots of different question types that you can do. So this one was obviously a multiple choice question. You can do text questions. Those are going to be like your short answer questions where they can pretty much write whatever they like. They can do a number one where they can put in a specific number. You can also embed a website, which is handy. And again, you can also go into the template library where there's a bunch of different templates in here that are pre-made. So if I go into this like beginning of lesson one, and I drop in this this one here. This one's a text slide. And once this loads for me here. There we go. The way I knew it was a text slide, by the way, is right below the template itself. It says text slide right there. If you're not sure what that is, the little question mark tells you what it is. Okay. And like I said before, you can change whatever you like on the slide except for this bar down here at the bottom. Leave that the same, but everything else you can change. If you don't like this, what it's asking here, if you don't like this little picture of the cloud thing, you can get rid of it. All that stuff is changeable. So whatever you like, you can change whatever you want on the slide, just not this bar at the bottom. So you can ask whatever question that you like. All right. And of course, from there, it's kind of just rinsing and repeating and trying out stuff. So again, if you're watching this recording, recommend that you just pause at this point, play around a little bit for 10 or 15 minutes in Pear Deck, and then come back, and then we'll continue on to our next part. All right, so we'll continue on here. So I'm assuming everybody that watched is watching the recording with me here took a break to take a look at Pear Deck and play around a little bit. So now we'll change gears again and go into some video lessons. So of course, a lot of content is being made more and more on video platforms, and as teachers, we have lots of good options for video lessons. Two big ones are Edpuzzle and Screencastify. Screencastify lets you create your own screen recording videos, and Edpuzzle lets you make them into interactive video quizzes where the video plays, it'll pause at a certain point in the video, and a question will pop up. Students have to answer the question and continue watching the video. So for both those things, Both those things can be used right on a Chromebook. These things, the teacher themselves can make these things on a Chromebook, and students can actually do these things on a Chromebook if they so choose. So Screencastify now has the ability to take your recorded videos directly to Edpuzzle. So if you're a Screencastify user for a long time, you also can go straight into Edpuzzle. So here's a little article about that. Oh, that website is wrong. Well, just kidding. Right after you make a Screencastify video, in the share options, you'll have a share to Edpuzzle option there. Sorry about that. Anyway, getting started with Screencastify here. So if you've never used Screencastify before, again, what it does is it takes a video recording of what's happening on your screen. To get started, you'll have to get the program installed. Now, the program is just a Chrome extension, so it's actually just attached to your Chrome browser. And again, as long as you are signed into your Chrome browser, and notice in my very top right corner here, you'll see I have my little profile picture up here. That lets you know that I'm signed into the browser. One thing I'll mention about that point real quick, since I thought about it here. I'm gonna switch over back to the Chromebook real quick here. I just want to make this point real quick. When you're on a Chromebook, you'll notice that the little profile picture is not there. You'll have this like lower one here. That's not the one I'm talking about. But the little profile picture that's way up on the same line as the address bar is not there when you're on a Chromebook. The reason is because when you're on a Chromebook, you're signed into the whole Chromebook from that profile. Okay, so all the point is all of the extensions that you have, all the bookmarks, all the passwords, all that stuff that you have saved to your Chrome profile will be brought over with you when you go into a Chromebook and you log in with that same account. Okay, so just a clarification on that point real quick. Okay, all right, and let me flip back. All right. And here on slide 20 is the link for you to get the Chrome extension installed. Oh, that link is broken too. I'm sorry about that. I'll fix that. But you can just go in the Chrome Web Store and search for Screencastify, or just do a Google search for Screencastify. You can get it installed. Step 2, after getting it installed, is choose what you are going to record. You can record your whole screen, a single tab, just your webcam and your voice. So you have a bunch of different options there. Now, one thing to note as well, Screencastify, like a lot of the tools we've talked about, have a freemium model where it's free and paid. In the free version, you're limited to 5-minute long videos. You can make as many videos as you want, but they're limited to 5 minutes each. When you have the paid version, then you can make as many videos as you want and make them as long as you'd like. Okay, so getting started with Screencastify. So after you pick what you want, then you'll simply record. You'll press the blue record button, and then you'll get a countdown, and you start recording what's happening on your screen. There's keyboard shortcuts to this as well. I can't really show it because I'm using Zoom at the same time. But of course, if you have any questions, always feel free to drop me a line and let me know. Now, after you finish recording, you'll see this these few boxes on the right-hand side pop up where you can rename your video. You can do all this stuff, but you can also share your your video rather, to Edpuzzle, to Google Classroom, over to YouTube. You also have a Google Drive shareable link. All the videos that you make in Screencastify are going to automatically be put into your Google Drive for you. So all that stuff will be there available for you. And of course, if you want to make a video quiz about this video recording that you just made, click on this button here that says upload to Edpuzzle, and it'll be dropped right into Edpuzzle where you can start making it into a video quiz. All right. Now, if you haven't used Edpuzzle before, this is another website here, another one that of course works nice and easily with Google, with a Chromebook rather. And basically, you just integrate questions, comments, and quiz questions into your own videos or others that you find. So you can pull videos from YouTube or Khan Academy or other places. It integrates with Google Classroom. You can add audio tracks or notes, depending on the type of video. And the videos play right on EdPuzzle's site without any ads or pop-ups or any auto-playing annoying stuff. Okay, you can even share videos without having the receiver actually have to sign in. You won't collect any data that way, but you can kind of get them used to using it that way. So it's a really, really cool tool. And again, this one is another freemium tool. So you do, there's a paid and a free version. In the free version, you're limited to 20 videos saved on your account. With a paid version, then you can have as many videos as you like saved to your account. But 20 is a good amount, though. You can add classes manually or import them from your Google Classroom. So you would be basically creating classes and assigning these video quizzes to your students in that class. And again, you can locate videos that you like to use for your lessons, and there's a built-in search that you can use, so you don't have to go to the web. You can basically search for whatever video that you like, and you can pull pretty much any video into EdPuzzle. All right, so let's actually jump in real quick, and I'll show you real quick around EdPuzzle. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my account. Go ahead and log back in here. And as you can see, I'm using my Google sign-in for pretty much all this stuff. That way, there's no other accounts I have to worry about. It's all the same. It's all the same school Google account that I'm using. All right, and so from here we can see all of our videos that we have saved here. So this is my content. You can see I'm under my content section, and all these videos that I have here are stored in my EdPuzzle. And I'll just take one of these ones for example. So like this for this video right here, it's 51 seconds long, and it has this little 3 and this little bulb shape there. So it contains 3 questions or notes or comments. So if I give a click on this video, this is pretty much exactly what students are going to see when they go to do this lesson. Let me just mute this so I don't get any extra sound here. But I'll play it here. And watch what happens when we get to the first little bulb on the timeline there. The video automatically pauses, and then over on the right-hand side, a question comes up. All right. And then you answer the question, and hit submit, and then we continue. And it's basically just rinses and repeats from there. And of course, these videos you can make with your own videos that you make with Screencastify, like we said, or you can pull in videos that you just find on YouTube or whatever else. So, for example, we can search for, the Crash Course. That's a really popular series on YouTube. And we can pull in any of their videos that they have. And so if there's, here's a video on Intro to Economics and the Reformation, all this stuff. A lot of these ones will also have questions already in them. Notice this first one here has 17 questions already on it. We can open it up and we can take a look at all these questions. We can just watch this whole video, see what kind of questions that they ask. And if we like this stuff, if we like what we are seeing on here, we can, let me just skip this here.
Started with a very special trip.
And what we can do is if we like it, we can just assign it right to our own kids and boom, we're done with this activity. Or we can go into edit and we can come in here and change the length of the video. We can change questions. All this stuff is open for us to come in here and do. All right, and finally, real quick, if you want to upload your own video, so if it's a video you made in Screencastify, or if it's one that you just have sitting on your computer, like a video that you made a while ago, when you're under the My Content part, go to Add Content, and then you can do Upload a Video, and then you can pull a video from your computer or from Google Drive and upload it right away. And again, when you're on a Chromebook, all the videos that you make in Screencastify are automatically saved in your Google Drive. So I'll click on Google Drive here. Even though I'm not on a Chromebook right now, it's the same process. We'll come in here And then we can search for whatever we like. We can even go and search for Screencastify. And then we can go search through whatever that we like and go find all of our different videos. All right. Then you upload them, start making whatever questions that you like from there. All right. And that's pretty much what there is to Edpuzzle. Again, you would pull in classes. I have a recorded video all about Edpuzzle on training.neonet.org. So if you're interested in checking more about Edpuzzle, you can absolutely check that out. One other thing to mention real quick, if the if the 5-minute limit rather is a problem for you and your school can't do the paid version of Screencastify, there's other choices out there. So Screencastify is not the end all be all. So if you need another free option, there's another option called Loom, LOOM.com. This one's also a screen recorder, works pretty much the exact same way as Screencastify. I also have a training on this one on Loom on our website as well. And there's also another one called Recordcast or Recordcast, whatever, recordcast.com. This one's another website, very similar. This one lets you do half an hour long video recordings as well. This one actually has a very nice video editor built into it too. Both these ones are free, completely free. The Loom one, you do have to do a teacher education sign up thing to get the free version of Loom. So if you just go to, I think it's loom.com/education, if I remember correctly. Yeah, loom.com/education. So if you have to fill out like a form, they get back to you pretty quick to get the premium version of Loom for free. Or I think it's a special edition of Loom specifically for education. But point is, you get unlimited recording time with Loom. The nice thing about Recordcast here, this one lets you do half an hour long video recordings. All these ones can be used on Chromebooks, by the way. They're completely web-based. The nice thing about Recordcast here, this one has a really nice built-in video editor. So if you want to add some effects and text boxes and all this like animations and stuff, you can do that as well on this tool. Okay. All right. And let me close out of this stuff here. All right, so again, if you're watching this recording, I again recommend that you kind of pause at this point and go play around a little bit, either in Screencastify or Edpuzzle, Edpuzzle, Loom, or Recordcast. So there's a bunch of options there for you if you want to do some more video-based instruction. But now I'll assume that everybody kind of took a pause here, and now we'll jump over into Google Applied Digital Skills. So this website is a really cool, kind of more of a unique thing here. This is a project-based learning digital curriculum platform. All of it's free. There's over 100 projects on here to choose from. On slide 31 is the link for it to take you over to Applied Digital Skills. And this platform has over 100 different projects that are ready to go. This platform also communicates with Google Classroom, so you are also able to bring your roster of students that you have in Google Classroom, bring them over here into Applied Digital Skills and have them go do these activities. Everything in here is video based. And essentially what students do is they'll watch a short video and they'll do some sort of activity. And there's lots of different content areas that this stuff covers. I'm going to jump over into lessons real quick here. Also, if you're interested, I have a recorded webinar where I talk all about Applied Digital Skills, so you can check that out as well. So, of course, you can filter by late elementary, middle school, high school, or adult learners. You can also filter by digital tool or by topic as well. So art, business, college and career readiness, communication, computer science, all this stuff. So if, for example, we want to do, maybe some like financial literacy, we can go into financial skills. Put in that filter here. And we see we have kind of 4 ones that kind of focus on financial skills. You can see there's 144 lessons in total. The nice thing about each one is they tell you how long they are. Some of these are going to be long. Some of them might be 7 to 9 hours. Some of them are like a whole like week's worth or a whole couple of weeks worth. Some of them are like 45 to 90 minutes. In each of these activities is completely done. It has a full lesson plan attached to it already. So if, for example, we go into this plan and budget activity here, and so this one goes into analyzing spending, research costs, and plan for purchases using a spreadsheet. So this is 7 to 9 hours of time to complete for the student, that is. Then here's the digital tools that they will be using. And if you go into teaching materials up here, you'll see the full lesson plan, and you can even get certificates of completion. But in the lesson plan here, this is a fully detailed lesson plan that gives you all the information. Everything in here is completely ready to go. And again, all this stuff is completely web-based, meaning you can do it on a Chromebook, no problem. There's no extra thing that you need. You just need a Chromebook and an internet connection. That's all you need. All right. And then from here, this was the full lesson plan for you to check out. So it has a bunch of links and all this good stuff in here. And if we want to actually see what this looks like, we can actually click on the start button here. And we can go into looking at what this course actually looks like. So each one, like I said, has a video attached to it. And then after each video, it takes it to another section, or it may have them do another activity or another like video afterwards to watch. And we can change the playback speed down here at the bottom. You can even get the transcript as well right below the video. You can even do picture in picture by clicking on the 3 dots in the video. And go to 3 dots and then go to picture in picture. And now you have this little movable video. You can make bigger or smaller. And then you can go over to a whole nother page or start working on things and go and start doing whatever you need. Okay, and you can still have this page up, even though you're not actually on the video up, rather, even though you're not on the actual page. Okay, and so all this stuff is like I said, going to be available for you guys. It's all done. It's all free. It's all here. There's nothing that you really need to do on that point. So some activities will have students just watch a video. Some of them will have them actually go in and start doing these projects. To make a class, let me just kind of jump back here. To make a class, you can pull in classes from your Google Classroom, like I said, or you can make them yourselves and you just invite students in. So we'll go to My Classes up in the top right here. And we can create a class. And again, you can make one from your Google Classroom. So for your imported classes, you can see I already imported these over, or you can do one without using Google Classroom. And students would join in kind of the same way. If you're not familiar with Google Classroom, you just give them a code to join in. So they would go to Applied Digital Skills, and then they would put in the join code. So I'll just call this, example class. And we'll call this middle school here. There's another thing to mention here. Applied Digital Skills does focus more on middle school, high school. So you're probably best is like 5th or 6th grade up. All right. So if you're not importing from Google Classroom, here's where this is how you get students in. You simply just share this join code with them. We'll copy here. I'll just join from a student account just to show you what it looks like here. We'll just do a Google search for Applied Digital Skills. And again, this is the student's perspective here. And they go ahead and sign in. And once they get signed in, they can get themselves added to a class by clicking on Join Class down in the bottom left. And they'll put in that join code that you give them. And we'll join Mr. Neeson class. And hey, now we're in the class. All right, so it's pretty simple to do. From the teacher's perspective, let me jump back to the teacher's side. You find a lesson that you like, any activities that you like. So here's one on celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day that just came out. You can click on it, see what it's all about. You can see it exactly as how students see it. And if you like what you see, let me go ahead and, this one's actually a collection rather. So this one is actually built up of two different lessons. So this one's research and interview a person from history, show appreciation with Google Slides. So let's do this research and interview one. And again, we can explore through, take a look at the whole, lesson plan, all that good stuff. And if we like what we see, we can just click on add to class. And then we can choose which class we're going to add this to. So I'll put this on my example class that I just made. And now this is in our class. The students that are in this class are able to go in and start working on it. Okay, so back on the student's perspective real quick here. So if we see, hey, here's my example class that we just joined, research and interview a person from history. Okay, come in here and we get started. And we start watching this video and basically just make our way through this activity from here. And again, all this stuff is completely cloud-based, so you can do it right on a Chromebook. Okay. All right, so not too much left to go through here. I'll just kind of briefly go over things that you can do, other things that you can do with project-based learning on a Chromebook. So of course, project-based learning is really gaining steam over the past few years. And so here's kind of a good definition of it here. So project-based learning is the act of learning through identifying a real-world problem and developing its solution. Kids show that they learn as they journey through the unit, not just at the end. And so, of course, we can still do some project-based learning on Chromebooks if we can basically focus on some or rather use some technology tools to answer those real world problems that they're trying to solve doing project-based learning. So this is kind of based off an infographic I made a while ago. And we'll talk about just kind of 8 major ways that you can do some project-based learning here. So infographics have students create visually appealing representations of information. Students can include a short description, text, images, charts, graphs, even hyperlinks. A few good tools are Genially, Piktochart, and Visme. Another good one is called Canva, C-A-N-V-A. That one's also really good. That one actually has an education program as well. So if you sign up with a school account, they give you some bonuses for free, which is great. So that's one option. Of course, students create infographics to help answer those big questions that the project's all about. Another one very similar is ebooks. So ebooks, of course, are a great way for students of any age to creatively demonstrate the content at hand. Students combine what they know with engaging visuals and form it into an electronic book. With tools like iBooks Author and Book Creator, students can even share it with the whole school. Now, to be clear, iBooks Author is only available on iPads, but Book Creator, bookcreator.com, that one lets you make ebooks completely online. Nothing to install there. It's just a website. So again, something you can easily do on a Chromebook, something easily for students to do. And it's fun, honestly, it is. It lets you be very creative, lets you make some cool images. You can even make like a whole comic book. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with Book Creator. That's a very fun one, a good way to sum up a story, good way to make it like a visual novel if you are reading a story in class, good way to sum up a historical event or talk about an important person, that sort of stuff. A really fun way to do an ebook. Next one here is video production. So students can create a video made from a combination of still images, narration, or video clips they recorded. So video editors like iMovie, WeVideo, and Clipchamp allow students to produce kind of professional looking videos that demonstrate their learning or explain their solution to their real world problem. Now, of course, iMovie is only available on Apple products, so on iPads and MacBooks, but WeVideo, Clipchamp is another one that are both good video editors. Clipchamp has a good video editor to it. Both those can have a freemium version as well. Like I mentioned earlier, Recordcast also has a video editor. I didn't know of Recordcast, or I'm not even sure if it was a thing at the time when I made this infographic. but that's another good option for you. Number 4 here is creating a website. Then that kind of sounds like a daunting thing going, well, hang on a second, I don't know how to do that. There's tools out there that let you do it. So students can pretty easily create a website filled with all sorts of information. Websites can include text, videos, hyperlinks, embedded web pages, surveys, and more. Website creators like Google Sites and Weebly require zero coding knowledge to make a website. Students do not have to know a lick of coding to be able to put a website together and make it publicly available. And some tools like Google Sites allow you to narrow down who has access to those sites. So if you make a Google site, you can actually narrow down and say this site is only available to people inside my school. Another one here is green screen. So green screens allow students to put themselves in any environment that they want, from a local weather report to a student placing themselves at a historic landmark. They can go wherever they want. A few good apps are TouchCast, Doink, and Chromavid. TouchCast and Chromavid can work on Chromebooks. Doink, that one's only an iPad app as well. Of course, you need the actual physical green screen for that one, so that one might be a little bit more complicated. So a lot of schools have been investing in maker spaces, so that might be another thing where you may find your green screen materials. Another one here is 3D design and printing. So students can create anything in 3D modeling software. So when students are posed with a question that requires like a physical product to actually answer that question, students can create an object on their computer. Good tools are like one of the big go-tos is Tinkercad. SketchUp is also kind of along the same line. That one's a little bit harder to get a hold of, but they allow students to make a 3D object, and they can even use a 3D printer. They don't have to necessarily print it out and actually do a 3D print, but they can make the 3D object and still just share the file with you so you can look at it. And number 7 here, cartoons and animation. So students can put their artistic skills to the test while being creative and learning how animation works. Students can create animated cartoons with audio for narration and voice acting. Tools like Stop Motion Studio, Chatterpix, and Powtoon allow students to make their own cartoons, and they can even make stop motion animations in Google Slides. There's tutorials out on YouTube if you want to learn how to do that, how to make stop motion in Google Slides. If you just search on YouTube, there's a bunch of tutorials that show you how to do that. Stop Motion Studio and Powtoon, I believe you can both use on Chromebooks. Chatterpix is an iPad only app, I believe. And then finally here, virtual tours. So students can view virtual field trips on the computer, smartphone, or with a VR headset. Now, there's a big caveat to this. Tools like Google Earth, Expeditions, and Tour Creator can allow students to create their own virtual field trip where they can showcase events of a novel, historical events, and more. Here's a big caveat to this. Google announced that Expeditions and Tour Creator are going away this coming summer, unfortunately. So if you recognize this symbol here, this orange one, or this one here that has like this pyramid, both of those are going to be going away, unfortunately, which is a big bummer. A lot of people are very upset, including myself, that those tools are going away. There's still alternatives out there. There's other VR projects out there, but not all virtual field trips activities are virtual reality. So you can still create virtual field trips in Google Earth, which is now completely web-based. So you can go to Google Earth and make your own virtual field trip where you go from place to place and give information about going from place to place. Okay. All right, here's our to-do list that we started with here. So we kind of went over our basics of Chromebooks, getting familiar with them, getting used to some of the buttons, how things work. Then we took a look at the Chromebook App Hub as a great place to go find all sorts of different tools that you can use in your teaching when using a Chromebook. We took a nice little dive into Pear Deck. Then we took a jump over into video lessons using Screencastify and edpuzzle, as well as a couple of others that I mentioned. Then we took a little leap over into applied digital skills, and we took a look at some project-based learning examples. Of course, a lot of this stuff kind of comes down to experimentation and seeing what fits best for you. Depending on your content, depending on your teaching style, some of this stuff may work, some of it may not. It depends on what fits with you best. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to experiment and play around for yourself. This is one of the things that's nicer. Of course, when we're in person, we have more time and kind of a way to kind of experiment together and kind of try things out a little bit. Of course, when we're just watching a video or a webinar, it kind of limits us. All right. A couple other things I want to mention real quick before we wrap up. I mentioned our website several times here, training.neonet.org. This is where we have all of our on-demand PD sessions. So training.neonet.org, if you go to the PD on-demand tab, this is where you'll see all of our recorded webinars. Some of these are interactive trainings, like this Nearpod one and this Google Sheets one. Both those are interactive. A lot of the other ones are pretty much just videos, but there's a bunch of different options in here. All these are free. You can go into any one that you like. Like I mentioned, this Loom one, so this is the Loom video recorder, so you can check that out. I did one on Pear Deck as well, somewhere in here. There's one all about Pear Deck. We did one about Nearpod as well. I'm sorry, about Edpuzzle rather. So you have a bunch of options in here. You can also request CEUs or earn graduate credit for doing those things as well. So if you have any of those other things that you'd like to check out, you can. Same thing goes for the live sessions I have coming up pretty much every week. You can either go into the training menu where you see all of the live trainings. All these ones that are listed here are free to come to. They're pretty much held every Wednesday and or Thursday afternoon, either from 2:30 to 5 or from 3 to 4, depending on the session. So you can check out all of these sessions that are available. Same thing goes for the calendar. It lists all the same trainings just on the calendar, so it's a little bit easier to see. So you can see all of our upcoming live trainings, most of which will be recorded and made available on the PD On Demand page as well. All right. So all that stuff will be there for you guys to check out. All right, upcoming here the next couple of weeks from this live session here, we'll have Tech for Vocabulary Practice and Assessment, Equatio and Google Forms math quizzes. We'll have our Google Certified Educator Level 1 crash course, and then Nearpod interactive lessons, very similar to Pear Deck if you haven't used Nearpod before. And again, you can check out the rest of the spring training menu. If you're interested in graduate credit, on slide 44 has more information. And with that, that will pretty much bring us down to the end here for today. So if you're watching this recording, thanks so much for making it to the end here. If you have any more questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Here's my email on the last slide, dneeson@neonet.org. And check out, of course, training.neonet.org for a bunch of more good stuff. There's also a survey if you are so inclined. Don't worry about that sign in here button. But pretty much that will bring us down to the end. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.